Let's start our video on the occasion of their cake day. A person shared a story about a particularly satisfying act of revenge that involved them and their wife while living in the upper half of a duplex condo. One morning, precisely at 6:30, they were disturbed by a loud noise of banging and thumping on metal. Curious and annoyed, the person peered out the bedroom window to investigate the source of the disturbance. They noticed workmen on the neighboring building, nearly 6 feet away, aggressively ascending the fire escape and beginning to erect scaffolding. When the person inquired about the commotion, the head of the workmen, referred to as HG, confidently replied that they were there to repair the roof and would be using the fire escape for access. HG further stated that their work was scheduled to start at 6:30 a.m. and implied that there was nothing the person or anyone else could do to stop them. Feeling momentarily powerless, the person retreated to their bed and relayed the incident to their wife. It was then that the wife suggested a potential solution by asking a critical question. What about fire code? Inspired by this insight, they decided to contact the local fire marshal and share their concerns. The following day, after the workmen had fully installed the scaffolding, the fire marshal paid a visit to the site. What ensued was a heated exchange between HG and the fire marshal, lasting about 15 minutes, which resulted in HG, clearly frustrated, ordering his crew to dismantle all the scaffolding. The reason for the fire marshal's intervention was clear. The fire escape served as a vital emergency egress, and by obstructing it with scaffolding, the workmen were in violation of fire safety regulations. The dismantling of the scaffolding cost the workmen 2 full days of work, a significant setback. After this incident, the person and their wife noticed that the workmen did not cause any further disturbances. This outcome was particularly satisfying for the couple, as it proved that, contrary to Key's initial assertion, there indeed was something they could do about the situation. In the next story, many years ago, the person narrated that they worked in a care facility and had the chance to participate in the Administrator in Training (AIT) program offered by the small company they were employed by. This program, which lasted a year and allowed them to retain their accounting position, was expected to culminate in them being granted their own facility to manage within the company. However, their aspirations were thwarted by a senior vice president of the company, referred to as Big Cheese, who harbored a dislike for them. The root of Big Cheese's disdain was revealed to be complaints from the person's supervisor, who had failed to pass the national exam for administrators 3 times and had taken issue with them over unfounded matters. Subsequently, a month after obtaining their administrator's license, the person was dismissed from their position, with Big Cheese declaring that they would never work as an administrator for the company. Despite this setback, the person soon found employment with another company, securing a significant salary and a severance package from their previous employer after appealing to the company's president. They emphasized their desire to speak positively about the small company, which operated around 8 nursing homes, in their future endeavors. Over the next 4 years, the person successfully managed a facility for the new employer, achieving commendable outcomes and earning positive reviews. A friend who remained with the initial company would occasionally inform the executives, including Big Cheese, of the person's achievements. The narrative took a turn when the person was enticed by a lucrative job offer in another state, which ultimately proved unsatisfactory. Seeking new opportunities, they were surprisingly approached by the president of their former company for an administrative role at a flagship rehabilitation facility. Agreeing to an interview, the person exploited the company's hospitality by engaging in leisure activities and visiting relatives at the company's expense, only to reject the job offer after leading the company to believe they were considering it. When the company's president inquired about their start date, the person reminded him of Big Cheese's earlier assertion that they would never be an administrator for the company, effectively closing the chapter on their association with the company, which eventually disbanded. In another story, the narrator shared about their adopted brother, who was an incredibly hard-working individual. Despite not having an easy start in life and facing financial challenges, while starting his own family, including medical issues, he managed to construct half a house on a piece of land sold to him by their father. Using the equity from this partially built house, he secured a second loan to complete it. even though he had to struggle with the bank to obtain it. As time passed, his financial situation improved, leading him to sell the first house at a profit and purchase a substantial parcel of land, around 175 acres, in a rural Midwestern area. He enjoyed hunting and farming on this land, but found the existing house less than ideal even after renovations. Therefore, he decided to build another house and put the original one on the market, retaining the surrounding land for hunting purposes. An envious relative of his expressed interest in buying the house, though they could only afford about half its value. Being generous, the brother agreed to sell it to them at a significant discount because they were family. He empathized with their financial struggles, reminiscent of his own past hardships. The bank approved the loan for the relatives, since the property was being sold well below its market value, and the sale was completed. However, a few months later, the brother discovered a for sale sign on the property. Upon inquiry, the relative mentioned dissatisfaction with the house and their intention to sell it for something better. The brother, feeling betrayed, suggested buying it back at the same discounted price he sold it to them for, but the relative refused. Reflecting on the situation and considering his background in managing significant construction projects, including bridges over major rivers like the Mississippi, the brother devised a plan. The following day, he began installing a fence around the property, excluding the house, under the guise of preparing for pigs he intended to bring onto his land. When the relative inquired about the Sutton construction, the brother explained his plan to surround their house with a hog fence, ensuring it was all legally on his land, and even mentioned adding a gate for their convenience. The idea of living near pigs prompted a quick change of heart in the relatives. After a brief discussion, they agreed to transfer the deed back to the brother at the bank the next day, without the brother needing to follow through with bringing in the pigs. This clever act of revenge underscored the brother's unwillingness to let his family exploit his kindness in the real estate deal, illustrating that he could protect his interests with ingenuity rather than through confrontation. The story ends with the brother coming up with a smart way to get his house back from relatives who were trying to make money off his kindness. When they said no to selling the house back to him at the low price he sold it to them, the brother had a clever idea. The next day, he started putting up a fence around the property, but not around the house, pretending he was going to keep pigs there. Faced with the thought of living next to pigs, the relatives quickly changed their minds. They talked it over and decided to sell the house back to the brother at the bank the next day, without the brother actually needing to bring any pigs. This smart move showed the brother didn't let his family take advantage of him, and that he could solve problems in a clever way without fighting. Putting up the fence was enough to make the relatives see he meant business, showing he could stand up for himself while still being smart about it. The story shows the brother as someone who is not only hardworking, but also smart in dealing with tricky situations. In the next story, there were two partners, John and Mike, who started a tech company together. John was the brains behind the operations, handling the technical side, while Mike managed the finances and business development. They had a great start, with their company quickly gaining traction in the market. As the company grew, so did the profits, and with that, Mike's greed. Unknown to John, Mike started manipulating the accounts to siphon off profits for himself. He made it look like the company was earning less than it actually was, reducing John's share of the profits. John, trusting Mike completely, didn't suspect anything at first. However, John started to notice discrepancies in the financial reports and grew suspicious. He decided to hire a forensic accountant to review the company's finances discreetly. The investigation revealed Mike's deceit. He had been embezzling money for months. Feeling betrayed but calm, John devised a plan for revenge. He gathered all the evidence of Mike's embezzlement and consulted with a lawyer to understand his options. Instead of confronting Mike directly, John decided to take a more strategic approach. John secretly started a new tech company, using his technical expertise to develop an innovative product that directly competed with their current company's offerings. He worked on this project in his own time, ensuring everything was legal and above board. Once the new company was ready to launch, John presented the evidence of Mike's embezzlement to the board and other stakeholders at a crucial business meeting. Mike was caught off guard and couldn't deny the allegations with all the proof laid out against him. The board voted to remove Mike from his position and take legal action against him for his fraudulent activities. At the same time, John announced his new company and its groundbreaking product. Many clients and staff, disillusioned with Mike's actions, decided to support John's new venture. John's company quickly outperformed the original one, attracting more clients and revenue. Mike, now facing legal troubles and the downfall of the company he tried to exploit, regretted his actions. John's strategic revenge not only held Mike accountable for his deceit, but also established John as a respected entrepreneur in the tech industry. John's story became a tale of integrity and smart planning, proving that honesty and hard work could overcome deceit and greed. Mike learned the hard way that betrayal comes with consequences, and John moved on to greater success, free from the shadow of his former partner's treachery. In the next story, there was a man named Jack. Jack was known for his charming personality and friendly demeanor, but little did his family know about the secret he was hiding. Jack was married to Emily, a kind and loving woman, and they had 2 children, Lily and Max. On the surface, their family seemed happy, but Jack was not as fair as he appeared. He had a hidden relationship with a girl named Sarah, whom he met at work. Every day, Jack would leave for the office, telling his family he had important meetings and deadlines to meet. However, he was actually meeting Sarah at a nearby cafe. They would spend hours together, laughing and sharing secrets, while Jack's family remained in the dark. As time passed, Jack became more distant from Emily and the kids. He would come home late, make excuses, and avoid spending quality time with his family. Emily began to notice the change in his behavior, but couldn't put her finger on what was happening. One day, as Emily was cleaning the house, she found a mysterious letter hidden in Jack's drawer. Curiosity got the better of her, and she opened it, only to discover heartfelt messages exchanged between Jack and Sarah. The truth hit her like a tidal wave, and she felt a mix of betrayal and heartbreak. Instead of confronting Jack immediately, Emily decided to investigate further. She followed Jack one day and witnessed him with Sarah, sharing an intimate moment that shattered her world. The pain was unbearable, but Emily knew she had to confront Jack and bring their hidden issues to light. That evening, after putting the kids to bed, Emily sat Jack down and confronted him about the affair. Tears welled up in her eyes as Jack struggled to explain himself. He admitted his mistakes, realizing the pain he had caused his family. In the days that followed, Jack and Emily sought therapy to rebuild their relationship. It was a long and challenging journey, but with time, trust slowly began to mend. Jack had to work hard to regain the trust of his family and prove that he was committed to making things right. As the family faced the consequences of Jack's actions, they learned the importance of honesty, communication, and forgiveness. The road to recovery was tough, but through their shared determination, the family emerged stronger, having overcome the shadows of Jack's hidden affair. In another story, there was a skilled construction worker named Mike. Mike had a reputation for being an expert in his field, but he harbored a dark secret. He would often cut corners on construction projects, using subpar materials and overcharging his unsuspecting clients. One day, Mike took on a big project for a client named Mr. Thompson. Excited about the opportunity, Mr. Thompson trusted Mike to build his dream home. Little did he know, Mike was planning to exploit the situation for his gain. As the construction progressed, Mike used cheap materials and neglected important safety measures. The house started showing signs of poor craftsmanship, but Mr. Thompson remained unaware of Mike's deceit. As the project neared completion, Mike presented Mr. Thompson with an inflated bill, taking advantage of his client's lack of knowledge about construction costs. However, fate had something else in store for Mike. One day, as the final touches were being put on the house, an anonymous tip reached Mr. Thompson. Someone had informed him about Mike's dishonest practices and the shortcuts taken during construction. Enraged and feeling betrayed, Mr. Thompson decided to take matters into his own hands. Instead of confronting Mike directly, he hired a private investigator to gather evidence against the deceitful constructor. The investigator uncovered the truth about the subpar materials and the overcharging scheme. Armed with concrete evidence, Mr. Thompson decided to expose Mike's fraudulent activities. He reported the dishonest constructor to the local authorities, leading to an investigation into Mike's business practices. As the legal process unfolded, Mike faced fines and penalties for his fraudulent actions. In addition to the legal consequences, word spread about Mike's unethical behavior within the construction community. Contractors distanced themselves from him, and potential clients avoided hiring him. Mike's once thriving business crumbled as a result of his dishonesty. The revenge served by Mr. Thompson not only brought justice, but also served as a warning to other dishonest contractors. As for Mike, he learned a valuable lesson about the consequences of cheating and defrauding clients. His downfall became a cautionary tale in the construction industry, reminding everyone that honesty and integrity should always be the foundation of any successful business.